Hello, everybody. Welcome to the November 14th edition of Monday Musings. Want to say thank you to all those who asked this weekend after my retreat last week. It was a wonderful time of prayer, though I did get some very sad news from a very dear friend of mine on Friday, and some of you noticed who were at Mass on Saturday evening saying I didn't quite look myself, and I really wasn't, but it is just a personal sadness of a very dear friend of mine that I'm carrying. And of course we all do help carry one another's burdens, particularly those nearest and dearest to us, and we friars are no exception to that. So this is going to be a very newsy edition of Monday Musings, so buckle your seatbelts, because here we go. The first, I want to start it off with the good news. You may have noticed, but that Bishop Soto last week, while I was away, lifted all of the COVID precautions, and Father Gregory didn't feel it was his place to make an announcement to the whole parish, so he waited for me to do that. So the most notable of which, the one that affects probably the most people, is the will no longer mask for Holy Communion. So the ordinary and extraordinary ministers of Holy Communion will no longer have to wear a mask for the distribution of communion. So masks, of course, are still welcome if you feel unsafe still being in public, particularly with these two subvariants that are going around, and you have a vulnerable health condition. Please do feel welcome to wear a mask when you come to Mass, but as I say, they are no longer required. And as I say, all the other precautions like using a swab or a Q-tip to anoint, again, kind of Mass, in the confessional, those are no longer required. The one exception to that is that we will still not be distributing Holy Communion, the precious blood from the chalice, to the congregation anytime soon. If you remember, the bishop rescinded that back in December of 2019 for flu season, as many of the bishops had done in past years. So we will continue to not distribute from the chalice. The bishop said that he would reconsider that in the springtime. Probably, if you ask me to guess, I would guess maybe for Easter. And if he's going to reinstate that, that's probably when it will happen. So again, if you feel vulnerable when you are in public, please do. You are welcome to continue to wear a mask, but those required precautions from the diocese are no longer in force. That was actually effective last week, but that's going forward. So in line with that, tomorrow, Tuesday, November 15th, will be the last day that we will be praying the pandemic prayer that yours truly came up with over 2 years ago. But we will, because we are a ritual people, we will be saying that one last time and set that aside as a public prayer for the sick. Obviously, if you like that prayer, you're most welcome to continue to pray it on your own. I was going to have that stop on the first Sunday of Advent, but with the lifting of the precautions by the diocese, seemed to be a good time to do those two things together, since we started that pandemic prayer, if you remember, when the pandemic was really sweeping the country and the world. We hadn't quite shut down yet, but I think it was like maybe a week before that we started doing that pandemic prayer, if my memory serves. But anyway, so tomorrow, November 15th, will be the last day that we'll be doing the pandemic prayer. And the other thing that I'm happy to announce is that effective the first Sunday of Advent, November 27th, the 7 o'clock Sunday Mass will go back to 7:30. That's a change that a significant number of you have been asking for a number of months, and I just wanted to make sure that the pandemic precautions were good and gone, and of course now with the lifting of these, we can be sure that was my plan had been for a couple months now to do that, but happy to formally announce that and remind those of you particularly who go to the 7 o'clock to remind your friends who maybe don't listen to Monday Musings, but will be announcing that this weekend at all the masses. It'll be in the bulletin, it'll be on Friday's email. But so yes, effective the 27th of November, 7:30 Mass on Sunday will change. So from 7 back to 7:30. So those are the good news, the happy pieces. Now I need to shift a little bit and share with you the bad news. Is that I got a call from Troy Killorn on Saturday informing me that he has decided to stay at his position at St. Catherine's over in Martinez. So he will not be coming on staff as as our music director. So that means that I have to restart the search process, the interview process, and that will begin very soon. But of course, that means that we will be not have anybody to direct the 11 o'clock choir and oversee our entire program. Father Gregory and I, and probably Teresa and maybe Deacon Errol, will be meeting later this week to come up with a plan. But if for some of you who have some musical abilities that you've shared in the past and haven't for a while, perhaps, don't be surprised if you get a call, because I think what we're gonna, I think we can. I'm quite sure actually that we can pull it off of putting something together for Advent and Christmas time with the talent that we have here, and do Christmas beautifully, so that then I can bring in a new music director maybe sometime after Christmas, because as was the case this time, going through the interview process, going through the vetting process, making the person offer, particularly if they are in another position. They have to give at least 2 weeks notice. So of course, that's going to put us well into December, all things being equal. So I need to plan for that. So I'm always open to ideas. So if you have some ideas, please do share them with me or with Father Gregory as we're going forward. But as I say, I'm not concerned. I know this is a very gifted, a very generous community, and that we will be able to pull off anything that we put our minds to. So. And then the other piece of news that I need to share is that our parish secretary, Elisa Aquino, turned in her notice last week, and so this Friday, the 18th, will be Elisa's last day with us in the office. So she's not going anywhere, not moving, but just decided that it's time for her to step back from that position. So I publicly want to thank Elisa for her years of cheerful service as our parish secretary, and know that we'll also, of course, be looking to fill that position. But I know that we were just talking at our staff meeting a few minutes ago that at least for the the next few weeks, we've got things covered, so we're not in a this isn't going to throw the office, the staff, into a crisis mode. You will continue to be well served by the clergy and the staff here at St. Dominic's as we move forward, and then look for a new parish secretary, and kind of maybe think about how you want to maybe shift some responsibilities around here in the office. But again, I'm not worried about that at all, and want to thank Elisa publicly for her marvelous service, and that ask your prayers for me and for the staff as we resume that search for a music director, and also now for a parish secretary, that the right person will come our way, because of course God's timing, as I said before, is always perfect, even if it's not our timing. And of course that's always the thing, is when we trying to conform ourselves to God's will, often we think and assume it's God needs to think like we're thinking, but of course what really needs to happen is that we need to shift our mind to put on, St. Paul says, the mind of God, the mind of Christ, and so that we move ahead in faith, and grateful for the many blessings that God has given us. So thank you for your attention during this. Just looking at the timer here, a little longer than usual Monday Musings, but as I say, there's lots to share. But so continue to say your prayers for the Spirit's guidance for us and for our parish in these upcoming beautiful, wonderful days of Advent and Christmas. So thank you, God bless you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye for now.